All right, we here. The RKT appraisers in the building.
RKT something else.
Oh yeah, RKT real estate and finance. I keep fucking forgetting you had to. You redid it, man. Now RKT real estate and finance in the building. Kaleem Rashidi, what's going on?
Not much, man.
What's going on?
Chilling. Yeah, man. So today's topic: why you can't afford to live alone. How come? What's going on? what's your thoughts?
It costs too much, man. I mean, it costs too much. I mean, at the end of the day, if you see somebody living alone, more than likely is one of three scenarios, man. Either they really got their life together, you know what I mean, and the finances is really in order,
right?
Or they living a lie. You know what I mean?
Yes, I'm good. It's like I'm good on that.
I ain't got no kids, no pets, no wife, no ex-wife.
Right. What else? He said they got their shit together. What else? What's the other thing they could do?
Or they just living a lie, man. Like, you know, bunking up with somebody, just not admitting the truth, man. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's my friend over there. Nah, it's your roommate. Stop lying.
Right. That's funny. That's
Miles,
funny.
you got an imaginary friend back there, man.
So what is it? Is this that everybody's just like they too broke? Is that what, like, everybody's broke? Is that the situation? Or is it like,
man, I mean,
people ain't making a certain amount of money?
I mean, I think with the way inflation is and the way the times are, it's just not set up for you to live alone. I mean, if you think about it right now, you watch just the fact that, you know, the feminist movement, women are working a lot more. If you didn't, and you probably didn't notice, but the cost of everything since that time kind of started transitioning, went sky high. So you can't just live by yourself. Because if everybody think about it, back in the day, you know, the husband was a breadwinner. That means the world was way more affordable. But if the dynamic has changed drastically in the past 20, 30 years. So it's one of those things where if you're single by yourself and you make $40,000 a year, I mean, that's like maybe $18, $19 an hour, you know, and if you're paying $1,000 a month for rent, mathematically, you know, that's $12,000. So you go from 40,000 to 28,000. Then you ain't take out the taxes. The taxes out of 40,000, you know, is going to be another pretty much 10,000 for the most part, a little bit less than that. So can you really afford to live after you get a car payment, car insurance, if you do have vehicle, or just eating? I mean, if you are living, you barely living, but you can't have any other ripple effect or anything go wrong in life that's going to cost you extra money because you hit.
I was going to say that. I was going to say it could still happen, though. It's just that, you know, now you really got to pay attention to your budgeting and, you know, what's going on, because it is tough to do it all. It's still attainable. You can, you know, a lot of people are still doing it. But I believe a lot of the reasons why people do have roommates because they truly can't afford to do it by themselves, especially if you live in New York or certain places, you know, where the cost of living is a lot higher. You know, there's certain areas that you can live by yourself on your own because the cost of living is not as expensive. So, you know, you're good to go. Honestly. So that's a factor too. Okay, location is important. You get what I'm saying?
Location,
but
cost of living.
I think Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mouse.
No, I was just saying, location, cost of living. It all makes it's a factor. All of it is a factor. But that's a part of the reason why I moved out of New York. You know what I'm saying? Because I used to be roommates with Lucario, and that's funny, son. Because you know, Lucario is a different kind of nigga. You know what I'm saying? Lucario do shit different.
Exactly.
And I ain't roommate no more. I was like, fuck that. I'm moving out of New York. I'm gonna go to a state where the cost of living is cheaper. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then and I'm able to live alone. I'm able to. Why am I hearing?
Echo or some shit.
Hey, Kayleen, put your shit on mute real quick. 1 2 3 1 2 3. Yeah, it's Kayleen shit for some reason. Anyway, yeah. So I'm saying, so it's a luxury to be single and live on your own. Is that basically what you're saying, Rashidi?
No, man. I mean, it's not a luxury to be single and live on your own, but the reality of the situation is, I think sometimes like you're in a great position. The way you did it is the perfect way to did it. You assessed the situation, you made the proper moves to go to North Carolina, and because for the most part you could work remote, you still have that income coming in, and the cost of living is a lot less. So you did the proper steps. But the main thing to piggyback off that is that people got to humble themselves. Like even if you make just enough to survive, you should not be doing that. You know what I mean? That's the reality of the situation. Because I mean, if you only, like I said, back to the point, but you only make $40,000 a year, and after taxes, you only bring back home $100 or $200 after all the bills are paid, and after you're on a super tight budget, at any given time, anything can happen, and you can fall behind. So if you have a car and you get a car accident, most people have a $500 deductible. If you mathematically only have $100, $200 left over, and you get in a car accident, just that $500 alone is going to throw you back.
Wow.
So really, what it is that part of this is that you got to humble yourself, whether you get a roommate or you're in a relationship, whatever you're doing, but game plan and actually do those things for a couple years to actually have a little bit of money saved up, actually work on your credit, certain little things to build you up so that when you're ready, you can go on your own and live on your own a little bit more comfortably. Because that's a big thing, man. That's why you always just fall in the hole. A lot of people just keep falling further and further behind. And imagine most people don't really get out of comfort zones. Most people I go to work every day and that's it. So which means they're standing still. And if you're standing still, that means you're falling further and further behind.
Truthfully, a lot of unless you make in, I say, six figures at least, then you can't really be living alone in certain places. You know what I mean? Like certain places you can, maybe you can, like, you know, sort of make it work, but a lot of places you can't do it. Like I know in what you call it, in freaking New York, you can't do that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like in New York, that shit is a fucking wrap. Like, you know, like they got spots now where it's like 1 bedrooms in Brooklyn is like 4 G's a month. You feel what I'm saying? So
that's so
yeah. So if you in that situation, you know, you got to be making a certain amount to get that. So imagine you have people out here, they got 3-bedroom apartments, whatever. You have the three people living in there. They're all roommates and shit. And they all got to split between 3 of them because that's the only way they're going to be able to really make it happen. So yeah, Rashidi, you're right. It's like, that's the thing, because if you making, like you said, 40 G's a year, that's, you know what I'm saying? Like that's going to be a stretch to be trying to pay like your own spot for like 3 or 4 G's. That's damn near impossible for most people. It's crazy.
So what's the solution? Like if you know, what can people do? Like if they want to live alone, like what can you do? You know, make sure you don't get nobody pregnant, and what else?
Then you don't do that. That's real good, man. I mean, the solution, truth is just getting out your comfort zone. What I mean by that is that if you make $15 an hour, go get $18 an hour. A lot of times, a lot of jobs every year, that job that you're at, they're paying a new hire more than you. And the reality of the situation is most people get so comfortable with jobs, they stay where they're at. So it's not an excuse. Because like I said, if you're making $15 an hour, I guarantee the new hire is making 17. You know, so if you want to stay at that company, go ahead and stay at that company. But people have to look at their situation and be like, hey, you know, I'm going to go somewhere else. And they're probably going to give you 19 somewhere else versus the 17 because now you have the experience and you've been in that field a long time. You know, Other ways I tell people how to save money is taxes. This is the big message to people. Stop putting 1 and 2 down on your taxes, trying to save on money. Cut it out because you're going to get no money back at tax time or you're going to end up owing money. Actually put 0 down. So at least taxes is a way to get back extra money when tax time come back around. The other thing, actually sign up for a 401k if you're working a 9 to 5. Why? Because a 401k, a lot of companies, decent companies, should I say, is going to match you 6% of your pay. So that means if you come on rough times for real, in a year, you can get it. You may be able to borrow anywhere from $2,000 to $8,000 a year from your 401k when you choose to borrow from that emergency fund. 4, call RKT and set up an IUL policy. Same thing like a 401k, but no taxes attached. So you get all that money and you don't have to, there's not any taxes coming out of your money. So those are 4 like solid ways to actually make more money. And of course, 5, just budgeting, just being budgeting and just being humble. You know, stop eating McDonald's every day, paying $10, $15 for a meal Go ahead and use that $10, $15 and buy real groceries. Stop being lazy. That's the other aspect of it, to be honest with you.
I mean, even to add to that, to kind of play devil's advocate a little bit, there's certain situations where time is a factor for people. So people pay for convenience, right? So people don't have time to necessarily like stay home and cook. Like some people have to go to work. They don't have the time. They have to go to work, come home, pick up the kids from school, whatever the case may be. There's very little time to do certain things, right? So what are we saying to these people? What are we saying to the people who are forced to live with somebody else because they literally can't afford to live on their own? One, I believe that I think it's I think you need more people then. You know why? Because unity is everything. So what do I mean by that? You stand alone. There's very little power in that. But if you stand with 5 people, you have a fist now, right? And just to go a little deeper, if you have 3 people in a home paying a certain amount of rent versus 2, right? That extra income from more people being in the home, you could now use to be saving to now go out and at some point and live on your own. Or now when you do move out, you actually get another roommate to where y'all can kind of duplicate and replicate that scenario to where now it's the cost of living is easier, hence you're saving more money, and then you put yourself in a better position. Then now you can sit down with RKT Real Estate and Finance and we could get you in a better position because now you actually have the funds to do so. You know what I'm saying? Because it's tough. It's tough for a lot of people out there. Unfortunately, like Rashidi was saying, the cost of inflation, the cost of living is going up. So not only do we have to match that, but we have to even do better than what it's doing to be ahead of it, if that makes sense. We have to do better than the inflation just to keep up, And one of the acts that hedges against the inflation, like Rashidi was saying, is an IUL policy. So it's something that, like I said, we could definitely talk about at another date and time. And it says the average person needs $2,500 after taxes monthly to live alone. And it's real. Like, I mean, it's that time. Yeah, it's 2023. It costs a lot to live, on your own. And like I said, location is important because those numbers may only be in certain areas. And then also certain places, certain states have tax exemptions. So it's depending on where you're at.
Yeah, because I was about to say that number don't work in New York and that number don't work in Miami. That number don't work in shit. That number hardly works any major city in Florida. That number don't work.
Right.
You understand? That number don't really work where I'm at. Really.
It's crazy that
that number don't work. Oh, where the fuck does that number work? Maybe in Wyoming or something.
Right.
in Montana or something where you got a whole bunch of cows.
No, it's that's the hidden gem, man. That's the Wyoming, Montana, dead serious. Those are places where you want to live. The Midwest, Iowa, all those places, dirt cheap.
Yeah, that's where Kanye West bought his 53 acres.
Yes, I heard about that. Yep.
But you gotta deal with some some folks that might not want you around there if you're dark.
That's a fact.
Listen, it's real, man. I lived in Iowa, you already know, for 3 years, man.
Oh, word?
Last year high school, I went out there. Lived out there. It was about 15 black kids out of 2,000 high school.
Wow. That's crazy. You must have been getting mad white chicks out there, man.
That's what, that's when I crossed over to the other side for a little minute.
Right. But also, I always say this. I think certain people. I mean, you got to have some hustle in you for this. But I feel like certain people, what they could do is on the weekends or even and after their job or something, they got to do some sort of hustle on the side. Not even necessarily trying to do a business, but a hustle like get in your car and do some Uber or some shit on the weekends or something. You know what I'm saying? Like do that shit every weekend. You know what I mean? Like you work Monday through Friday, then Saturday and Sunday you fucking doing some, you know what I'm saying? Some Uber or, like let's say you might do some regular, you find out how many people who got kids and be like, listen, I'll babysit your fucking kids. You know what I'm saying? Like all week or some shit or whatever the fuck it is. You know what I'm saying? Like something you got to do that you could make some extra money like now that you can start saving up just in case, like you said, Rashidi, like if something go down, where you need emergency money, you there, or they could, like you said, they could hit up, y'all guys, RKT and be like, listen, I got this extra money. How can I put this towards something? You see what I'm saying? and get this shit done.
Facts.
Shout out to K-Zach 20. He said 1,302 for 862 square feet. This is the average rent in San Antonio, Texas for an apartment. You can buy a $200,000 house, have about 1,700 square feet, and pay about $1,300 to $1,400 a month. Oh, word? Let me find out.
Yeah. Texas is the spot.
Right. That's
Texas.
crazy.
Yeah. That's
what's up. What's up? Yeah, that's the thing. And who else we got here? Said Pat said, I can afford to live alone and save in Florida because I work 6 days a week most weeks. But from what I've seen, lots of dudes don't have it in them to do this with so many distractions. Well, yeah, that's another thing too. A lot of times people are caught up in just their regular situation. So if they're making 40,000, they just gonna keep making 40,000, and then they're just gonna stay in the same, you know what I'm saying, situation, stay in the same situation where they have roommates. Because even with me, like, in my situation where I remember, like, because the spot I'm at now, I had roommates back in the day where when I was looking for roommates, it'll be people that was coming through that was like 50, 60 years old, and I'm like, damn, you still need. What? I thought you would be like have your own spot or something. You know what I'm saying? But that's not how it is, man. It's tough out here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's really tough out here where motherfuckers they need it. You understand what I'm saying? So it is what it is.
That speaks volumes. I mean, if somebody's in their 50s and 60s and still looking to room with somebody, then something went wrong. Something went wrong. You know, and what I'm realizing too, it's two things. One, we have to realize that the way this world is, you're almost gonna have to work. You're gonna have to work past retirement if you don't plan today, depending on what age you're at. So you got to say to yourself that yes, you want to work and take care of your bills and still be able to live. But you got to say to yourself, like, okay, you got to plan accordingly. What do I mean by that? You got to plan an escape goal, a time to where you don't want to work anymore. Because if not, it's a repetitive cycle. And before you know it, like Mr. Locario said, you're going to be 50, 60 years old, still looking for a roommate. And who really wants that? So you have to put yourself in a position now, and it may suck, but you have to almost have no life, no distractions, like the guy was saying, the guy who just commented, no distractions, to the point where you go hard for the next 3 to 5, maybe even 10 years. But then after that, now you can start to live, you know, the way you want to. But the problem is people get too comfortable with the right now, and they become complacent and lazy and don't want to put in the work to have a comfortable life later. So then as a result, they'll be in their 50s and 60s still because they're maintaining the complacentness, if that makes sense. Being complacent.
The complacency.
Yes, there we go.
You know, some people too, they some people get kind of what's the word? Well, yeah, same word, complacency of living paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
You understand? And that's not safe. That's not safe at all. Cause like you said earlier, Rashid, you get in an accident and you got to pay an extra $500 for your deductible to fix your car, and your whole world is turned upside down. But we got a question. AJ Lino says, at what age should an adult draw the line in living at their parents' home, even when saving up for a potential home for themselves and being patient for the right one? At what age should they draw the line, if any?
So this is the thing with that question. That's a very unique question. I mean, in terms of a cultural part, you know, it's a difference. What I'll say, you know, other cultures, whatever the case is, I see it all the time. They stay at the house till 27, 28. The difference between them and, you know, let's face it, us, is that they'll stay in the house 27 to 28. They'll save every dollar. They'll get good jobs and continue to save everything. And they'll go out and they'll have $150,000 in their account by the time they're 28, and could go ahead and put down $100,000 on the house and have a car paid off and have extra $50,000 sitting in the account. The difference is that going back to the original point, what I was making on was about being humble. The thing is just being humble. There is no real age, but 27, 28, 29 is perfectly fine. It may be a little bit embarrassing, but to Katie's point earlier on, if you set yourself up way earlier, you're fine. And I mean, even to piggyback off of what we just talking about before and what Katie brought up earlier, is that something must have went wrong. The truth is, like, we have too many resources to even say that sentence. Let's be real here. Right now, everybody that's watching that panel, everyone on this panel has access to their Social Security, meaning if Social Security even exists after when we get to retire, we know how much we're getting. There's truly no excuse why you don't start planning ahead, because the truth is in life right now, that's why old people can't retire. And that's why if you retire by 65 or 67, whether you have a choice or not, you're on an extreme limited income. So you know this is coming. It's not a real thing. You cannot just retire at 65 or 67 because that's the legal age to do so. If you know that your Social Security tells you you're getting $1,200 a month when you retire, you're going to need some more money. And even if you have a 401k and it's $300,000, that's only like an extra $800-900 a month. That's only going to last you about 15 years. So that tells you that you're going to live a very limited life, pretty much eating cat food and living in a low income place. You know what I mean? Like,
did you just say cat food? Yeah, I mean, say cat food. But no, this is a serious question because I feel like the standard of 18 and moving out, that's terrible. There's a lot of people who are like, to me, at 18, you're still a kid.
Right.
You're still a kid, even though that's the legal age of it as an adult, but your mind is not even developed yet. And you technically move out at 18. You're going to make the mistakes that shouldn't be made because why are you moving out that early? And like Rashid was saying, it is cultural based. Like here in America, it's like you're frowned upon if you still live at home after the age of 18. But in a lot of West Indian families, a lot of them they stay in the home, right? Contribute to the home so that, like Rashid was saying, they can get enough money to go and buy their own at some point in time. You know, so like there is no real age, and I think that's a problem that we have here in America. We separate ourselves too early, and then as a result, it's a divide and conquer tactic to where we remain in the same situations that we're in.
See, I want to say something real quick, and I don't want to put AJ Lino on the spot, but I'll put him on the spot only because he asked a question. Right. AJ Lino be on my Discords a lot, and I know the type of questions he be asking about bitches. Reason why he asking the question, just to talk about the culture of it all, is because AJ Lino is worried about a bitch looking at him saying, yo, I don't know if I could give you any pussy because you still live at home with your moms.
Right.
You understand? And that's the problem with most niggas. They worried about what a bitch think. And that's why the culture would make you think that there's a limit. You know, you can't be past age 25, live with your moms. Let me tell you something. And this is a story that I know firsthand. Okay? Firsthand. I used to work for an engineering company. There was an engineer at the company. I'm not going to say his name, but there's an engineer at the company. Now, it was his dream to start his own company, because when you're an engineer, you get what's called your PE, meaning your professional engineer. You know what that means? That means you can sign off on blueprints. You understand? Once you get your PE, you now have the ability to start your own practice. So that means you don't have to work in a company no more. You could literally start your own engineering company, your own engineering firm. Now, one day, because I do computer aided drafting. I was a drafter for engineers in the company. Now, there was a guy in my department. He was the head of my. He wasn't the head. Okay, he was the head of my department. He was right under the manager. And he asked me, he's like, yo, man, I'm going to such and such's crib to do some extra work to make some extra money. And he said he need one other person. And I decided to ask you want to roll? I said, so where we doing the work? He said at his house. And when he said he was talking about the engineering nigga that worked there. Right. Irish dude. Irish. Okay. So I said, cool. Yeah, let's go. Fuck it. So we met up outside of the job after work, and he drove us up to his crib in Stamford, Connecticut.
Oh my God.
Okay. Guess who his neighbor is?
Who's that?
Alex Rodriguez, New York Yankee. Alex motherfucking Rodriguez, the nigga that was just married to J-Lo the other day, or was with J-Lo for a couple of years. The baseball player, Alex Rodriguez. Now, I said, so now we driving up there, we pass his front gate, and it still take like 5 minutes for us to drive to the front door.
Right. That's crazy.
So I started to ask questions like, you work at the same company I work at. We don't do the same thing. I'm just a drafter and you're an engineer, but you work at the same company I work at. How the fuck you could afford all this? The nigga broke down, an Irish dude now. Broke down the whole story.
Mm.
He met his wife in college at age 19.
Mm-hmm.
And about age 20, they were engaged.
Mm.
And both of them from age 19 to age, I think he was like 33, 34.
Mm.
He just bought the house. Him and his wife just got married and bought the house when they were 30. So literally from age 19 to 30, he was stacking his engineering paper and his wife was stacking her accounting. She was an accountant or some shit. She was stacking her accounting paper and he was stacking his engineering paper. And they lived at both of them, his wife and him lived at their parents' house till age 30. And when they moved out to their own house, their neighbor was a fucking New York Yankee.
Right.
Okay, so what's the answer to your question, AJ Lino? The answer to your question is the age don't matter. You don't have to draw no line if you have a fucking plan. See, the problem with living at your mama house is not the fact that you living at your mama house. It's why you're living at your mama house.
Right.
Most of the niggas that's living at their mama house, the reason why they at their mama house is because they ain't got no fucking plan.
That's a fact.
The guy who I'm explaining to you in this story, this real life story, there was a reason he was living at his mama house. He was stacking that fucking bread so he could buy a $1.something million house down the street from A-Rod, nigga.
It's a fact. It's real shit.
And listen. Go ahead. And to piggyback off of Miles. Go ahead.
When I heard that story, I said, yeah, that's how I know niggas got it all wrong.
Right.
Black people got it all wrong.
And to piggyback off you, Miles, the real reason why it's huge in what you said and why everybody should be calling RKT real estate and finance. You said his house is worth $1.5 million. In all reality, his mortgage is only maybe about $6,000-$7,000 a month. So although Rodriguez could pay it off, but $6,007 based off what I was talking about earlier, where other kids in other cultures stay in their house for a long time. If you saved up $100,000,
right,
that's nothing to you. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's nothing to you. $7,000 a month, you could pay that mortgage up 2 years ahead of time and keep saving, so it's never that deep to you. But that's the whole point. If if there is no real age where you got to stay home. If you could put away the mortgage for 2-3 years, tell me not going to be living life good. Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Exactly. And that's the thing, though. But if you notice the story, it was all about consistency and dedication because both of them saved for 10 years. 10 years. Imagine you saving money for 10 years. You understand? Like a lot, there's people who can't even save money for 10 months. It's much more 10 years. You know what I'm saying? So
like 10 days.
Exactly. Right. So it's that consistent. And it's like what you said, Kaleem. It was like, yo, people got to grind it out, and it might take them 5-10 years to grind out whatever they're trying to do in order to get where they need to go. You feel what I'm saying? So like, I feel like a lot of people underestimate the time that it can take to put themselves in a position to where they could be because I remember when I was younger, I used to always hear older people say, man, I wish I started when I was your age. That's what they always would say. Oh, if I would have started back in the day, you see what I mean? So it's like,
yeah.
Now, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, yo, because if you're 20 watching this, by the time you're 30, you understand shit could be a whole another joint for you. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
And I just want to say one more thing about the story that I was telling. Understand another important part of the story, that he was fucking with a girl that understood the vision because she did the same thing.
Right. Exactly.
She did. See, a lot of y'all niggas be trying to impress these Instagram hoes who like I heard a story the other day. This girl, it was a woman. She was talking about her. She was like, yo, I know why these niggas not taking us seriously these days. Cause I got this homegirl, right? She came to me. She said she met this dude and everything was perfect. He's cute. He got a 6-figure job. Great guy. Took her out. Perfect gentleman. Sex is good. Everything was good. And she said she saw the girl maybe like 2 or 3 weeks later. And then she was asking her about the dude. And she said she dumped the dude. And she was like, why'd you dump him? What's the matter? She said she dumped the nigga because his car wasn't the current year.
That's crazy.
She said, girl, I couldn't fuck with him because he been in his career for like 10 years and his car wasn't a 2022. So I had to dump the nigga. I wasn't feeling that. And the girl in the video was like, see, ladies, this is why niggas can't take us seriously. So back to my story, both of them was like, yo, both of us, we could stay at home, we could stack our bread. And when we move out, we're moving into a multi-million-dollar mansion.
Right.
We don't even have to rent.
Mm-hmm.
And she wasn't looking at him like, girl, I can't be fucking with him because he living at his mama house and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. No. She was like, oh, you living at your parents' house and you stacking money? Me too.
Right.
You understand? Yo, shout out. There's this dude on my Discord. His name is Story of Jay. And he mentioned, you know that song, that Ludacris song where he goes, when I move, you move, just like that?
Right. Mm-hmm.
He said, we was talking about relationships and he was like, that's how it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, he was like, yo, Ludacris was talking to his bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I move, you move, just like that.
Exactly. Right.
So both of them stayed in the crib till age 30, stacking their bread for 10 fucking years.
Mm-hmm.
How beautiful is that? And then they went from their parents' house into a multi-million-dollar mansion.
Exactly.
With enough space to have 2 workstations it's not like we was even in the garage, bro. We was in his office den area space. And he had 2 different workstations plus his workstation set up because he had basically already started his own engineering firm.
Right.
You understand that? And so he was doing the work from his house while working at the same company that I was working at. And then maybe a year or 2 later, he left the company and started his own fucking spot.
Right.
His own engineering firm. Like that's strategy, that's game, that's planning.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine you got a plan like that, right? Imagine you have a mastermind plan like that, right? And then you go to the club and then you meet a bitch with a fat ass. and then she says to you, well, I can't fuck with no nigga that's still living at home with his mother. Right. And then what do? You cash in all your money you've been saving to buy a condo downtown just to impress this bitch and fuck up your entire plan.
Exactly.
Imagine that. And the sad part is this nigga's doing shit like that every day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Terrible.
It's crazy, man. I mean, it's wild, man. I mean, to piggyback off what you said, Miles, I mean, at the end of the day, and that's a triple header, man, because the person that did that with that plan is, not only did they save all that money for 10 years, but they're in a relationship. So even if they choose to depart after the relationship, they both leave completely good. And on top of that, so if they do start a new relationship or whatever they're doing, they have complete control and power. When you have your life on point and out of sickness, the only thing is out of control is sickness and health, but everything is on point. Nobody can't tell you anything. Like at the end of the day, you can make all the decisions. You can create all the rules and boundaries. That's powerful. And especially for men, that's how you really truly become a leader. 2 Miles' point, you have to have a plan and execute it. You execute it. Can't nobody tell you anything because the plan is executed at the end of the day.
And don't be beating up on AJ in the chat. I was just using his question as an example. I wasn't really referring to him directly, but I was just using his question as an example. So y'all, King Yikes, I better leave my nigga alone.
So what's some like last things that people can think about, as far as like, if they want to have their own place, if they want to make more money, like what's y'all final thoughts on this, on all that?
If you want to have your own place and make your own money, I mean, it's just really, giving us a call, man, and setting up the consultation, man, because if you don't understand the value of a dollar, it doesn't make a difference what you do, if we're being honest. You know what I mean? If you don't know where $100 is going to take you, $1,000 is going to take you, you can't go anywhere. You know what I mean? You go nowhere fast is the moral of the story. So, it's just really sitting down, having the conversation and just putting things in perspective. If you make X amount of dollars, you can do this thing and that thing. You can't do this thing. And once people actually hear that and see that and you put it in their face, now it's real versus just going outside in the world and like, okay, I go to work and I know I get bills paid.
Right. Real shit. So what's your thoughts, Killian?
I mean, last thing I would say is that I believe that if you don't have so already, make sure that you have at least 3 to 6 months worth of monthly expenses saved up for an emergency fund. You know, that's super important, especially in the time that we're in. I think that's where, you know, someone should start. You guys need to have savings. If you have nothing saved up, then that's where you need to start. Start saving your money.
Exactly. I'd say, you know, vote for Trump if he runs again. That's what I would say. Because Trump keep the economy right. I don't give a fuck what niggas talking about. Trump, he could lie, he could talk all that bullshit he want to talk, but Trump kept the economy right. So vote for Trump when he come back in 2024. All right.
The last thing I say is, you know, don't be scared to hustle, man. Sometimes hustling opens up your mind to new opportunities for you to become the type of person and make that money. Because right now, a lot of times the reason why you're not making the type of money you want to is because you haven't opened your eyes to the fact that you can make it happen. You know what I'm saying? So once you see that it can be done, you start to think more like, man, I could probably do this or do that or make this other thing happen. So try it out, man, and try to get out that comfort zone and make some other things happen. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah, man.
All right, so people, we are out of here. Make sure you guys hit up RKT Appraisals. RKT Real Estate and Finance. I'm gonna get it soon. You'll holler at y'all later. Remember, the truth is inside you. We out of here. Peace.